Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Can you guys hear me? This is Mike Greenberg.
Oh,
Yes?
perfect timing. Hey, Mike. Yes.
Okay. Now I got to find out where I put this webinar at. But you can't see me, right?
No.
Cannot. No. We can hear you though. We're live. We can hear
Okay.
you.
Great. Perfect. Thanks.
All right. Good afternoon, brothers and guests who are joining us for our webinar this afternoon. We're going to focus today's webinar on a new module that is being launched by the Sigma Chi fraternity in collaboration with Sigma Chi Leadership Institute and the Mission 365 Committee, called Remote Recruitment, a distanced approach to recruitment and Mission 365. And what we wanted to do with everyone today is first kind of walk you through, obviously, the module in terms of its objectives, its uses, and the charge that we were given by the fraternity to kind of roll this out and make sure that we get this to all of our undergraduate chapters in a very timely fashion as we get ready. Some of them get ready for summer recruitment, and particularly as we all get ready for the fall and whatever that brings. So today we're going to walk you through this PowerPoint deck that will show you the highlights and features and other resources and tools that we're going to be providing you to get ready for whatever you're facing on your campus. We certainly know that what's going on, outside our four walls right now, it's really different state to state, and it probably will be here over the course of the next 3 to 4 months. So really our job is to make sure that each of your chapters have and your advisors and your Grand Prators have exactly what they need to help each of your chapters move forward and still be able to recruit. Recruitment is the lifeblood of our fraternity, and it's going to be really important now more than ever that we are working a Mission 365 process, and we're going out, we're establishing communication with the future of our fraternity, with future Sigma Chi's. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today, but also, just a reminder, we have a chat function here in GoToWebinar. And if you have ideas, and if you're bringing something that you're doing to be in contact with potential recruits and prospective members, tell us about it. Tell us in the chat, and we'd love to highlight and feature some of those for everybody to be able to use as part of a recruitment strategy heading into the summer. So our agenda will run as follows. The first one is we'll go over the objectives of today's presentation, and you'll see what the objectives of our remote recruitment module look like here a little bit later, and then we have a very distinguished panel in terms of Sigma Chi experience with us today, including the writers of the curriculum, and the content experts, including the founder of the Mission 365 program way back when I was an undergraduate. We're going to go through some of the data and research that we have used as we look forward to the summer and the fall to really put some of these strategies together, and the resources that we will be providing each of you in the curriculum that we can offer to you and your chapter as we head into the summer. So those will be the main steps of today's webinar. And as always, we want to make sure that we respect. There's plenty of time at the end for Q&A, and we do ask you through the chat function to bring any questions that you may have up to our panel of experts as we move forward. So always be putting your questions in the chat, and we will absolutely make sure we get to all of them to satisfy all of your requests. So on to the next piece is is the objectives of today's presentation. The first one is really kind of always the first one in a Mission 365 module, which is understanding the importance of recruiting 365 days a year. And we know that now that's as important as ever. So we're going to always make sure that we double down on building and sustaining that Mission 365 process. The second one is one that has been customized to the time that's facing us. So define the ways that digital recruitment can positively impact your chapter, and really make sure that we sustain growth in the organization and in your chapter so that we can continue moving forward when we get on the other side of the pandemic. The third one is describing the strategies and resources available, like the remote recruitment module. We're going to put together we have put together a digital recruitment PDF that you'll see a little bit later that will kind of accompany this remote recruitment module. So there are resources out there to be able to help you. And then finally, we are going to talk about the core objectives and concepts of what the new Mission 365 remote recruitment module look like. So those are the objectives for today. And now we'll move on to meeting the panel, and you'll see who the speakers will be today. The first one is the principal architect of Mission 365. He is the current chairman of Sigma Chi Leadership Institute. He was the 68th Grand Consul of Sigma Chi Fraternity, and particularly one that is very, very relevant, as if those aren't, is that he's also the chairman of the North American Inter-Fraternity Conference Board of Directors, so chairman of the NIC as well. So we are very blessed to be joined by Mike Greenberg, and he now has kind of the benefit of seeing the grand landscape of digital recruitment on behalf of the NIC, including all of the other fraternities that are included in that. So we're lucky to have Mike today. Next one is chairman of the Mission 365 character-based recruitment committee, and also Horizons Guide, also Grand Praetor. Dale Thomas joins us, and he's the current architect and really driving the bus on the Mission 365 committee as we build out the core curriculum and all of the electives of Mission 365. So Dale is joining us from just outside of Nashville, Tennessee. Third one is myself. My name is Jim Cogdal. I'm a Bradley University Sigma Chi, and I'm also primarily began working at Sigma Chi headquarters on the Preparation for Brotherhood and Ritual for Life program, among others, but now currently serve as the executive director of Sigma Chi Leadership Institute, and work a lot with Mike, obviously, as my chairman, and Dale as part of our subject matter experts on recruitment and our other committees, and I have the honor to work with a phenomenal SCLI staff, and it leads me to our next panelist, Kaitlyn Martin. Kaitlyn is our curriculum development coordinator, and she is the lead instructional designer on the Mission 365 program, and oh, by the way, also our officer training development, as well as we build that forward into the summer, and we're working on a virtual KTLW. So these are the voices and the experiences that you have at your fingertip today. And again, we will utilize everything we can in our panel to make sure that we help you have the best recruitment possible, whether it's in the summer here in a month or if you're preparing for the fall. So I wanted to start with the charge that particularly Sigma Chi Leadership Institute and the Mission 365 committee were handed from the fraternity's executive committee, the fraternity's board of directors. And really when everything started happening in terms of the COVID-19 pandemic, we wanted to make sure that to be very, very flexible and agile with the education that we offered our undergraduates in terms of not only like the strong arms COVID-19 piece, but also in terms of if we're heading into prime recruitment season. So we wanted to make sure that we had all of our bases covered for preparing for a digital recruitment, hoping that obviously that's not the ideal form that we wanted to move forward with, but also knowing that it could be a reality for some of our campuses that would need to have that establish that digital connection with some of its prospective members or recruits coming into the university. So when the fraternity's executive committee approached us, they wanted to obviously keep the quest for the best, the Mission 365 principles always at the forefront, but really do so in a time frame that may have to relegate to digital recruitment, and really kind of bring our main concepts of Mission 365 to be brought and facilitated online to help our chapters prepare for what a digital recruitment could look like. The second part of the charge was prioritizing strategies not only to impact recruitment but cultivate brotherhood. A big part of the Mission 365 experience is it takes a chapter to have a good recruitment. It's important to have a great leader as recruitment chairman, but we want to make sure that we can cultivate brotherhood during this time and inspire positive action for the chapter to have a great recruitment strategy ready for the summer and fall. And the last one, was something that we've really dug into, and a lot of this has been Kaitlyn Martin, who has been attending webinars, working with Fired Up Recruitment, and really doing what we can to cultivate all of the best data and research to make sure that our resources and tools that we offer you are impactful and effective. So those are the three pieces of the charge that were handed to us. And what I'm going to do now is, kind of piggybacking on that third part of our charge is understanding the data and research. And Kate's going to walk you through these three pieces. Kate, I turn it over to you.
Thanks, Jim. Like Jim mentioned, my name is Kaitlyn Martin, and I am the lead instructional designer on the Mission 365 program. And as we had started to learn our charge from not only the Fraternity Executive Committee, but also the board that the SCLI responds to, the Sigma Chi Leadership Institute board, we realized very quickly that recruitment wasn't something that we wanted to just start putting recommendations out there for. We wanted to conduct the research that we could to find the best practices that are currently happening on your respective campuses and also through different organizations. So what we found was that inside Higher Ed, which is a publication that all Greek life advisors have the opportunity to read, outlined 15 different scenarios that could play out in the fall 2020 semester. This includes anything from every single student goes back to campus to you're still going to be learning remotely online. From there, we were able to narrow down the best possible solutions that we saw, and we're able to make our recommendations regarding digital recruitment while paying attention to the landscape that is in front of us. We have also, like Jim said, we've been collaborating with other fraternity and sorority organizations, such as Zeta Tau Alpha and even Fired Up as a non-headquarters partner, to really start to understand what best practices are out there so our brotherhood can have the best possible resources. The Fraternity EC and the SCLI Board of Directors also consulted with a variety of experts in the field to make the best decision regarding in-person activities and learning. As you have seen, that means Horizons and KTLW will not happen as we know it in its in-person form. But because of the different recommendations that was made to the Fraternity Executive Committee and the Board of Directors, we have realized how important our online learning is, and we have really tried to revamp what that's going to look like for you all this summer for Mission 365 and for those two curricular aspects that I mentioned before. So Mike or Dale, is there anything that either of you would add to either best practices that we have seen coming out of different headquarters organizations around campus? Mike, you could even talk about the NIC there, or really anything else that relates to the charge that we were given.
Yeah, can you hear me, Kaitlyn?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, so this is Mike Greenberg talking. Sorry I couldn't be available via video today, but what we are encouraging everybody to do at this moment is, even if you have deferred recruiting on your campus, or depending on when your recruiting starts, is to get active right now and get to this virtual recruiting. The NIC is going to support that on Monday when we have our board of directors meeting, that even the 70 to 75 campuses that currently have deferred recruitment, that we're going to encourage our students to just go recruit people. Much the way you might connect on either Facebook or any of the other social media platforms, is getting to know somebody. If you know people that are coming, branching off and networking with them, using Zoom or webinars or Skype or whatever you want, FaceTime, to really get to know them and apply the principles of Mission 365, which we have available now virtually, to that element of recruiting. It's critically important that while others are focusing, or if your campus isn't starting, that we still don't miss out on this opportunity to get the very best into our order and start to work with them on becoming transformational leaders. And so any help we can assist you on how to do that would be great. Some of you are going to say, well, we don't officially get lists from our university, but there's other ways that you can go about doing that. Maybe it's a friend that you know that's networked with other friends. Maybe it's you could offer a small scholarship to incoming freshmen to apply, and you could get databases that way. And maybe the collective group of the rest of your chapter mates might also know people coming. And then really try to seek those people out and get them on board and a part of our fraternity and what we have to offer educationally and leadership development wise.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. One of our headquarters staffers on the call, Justin Hannon, who works in our marketing communications, he suggests also checking back in with your old high school. Most publish what schools their graduating seniors are going to in the fall. So, you know, again, that's just one way to see if any of them are coming to your school next semester. And as Mike said, you know, reach out to them. That can be a leg up before, you know, that potential prospective member even gets to campus, and you can begin kind of cultivating that relationship and that discussion, you know, long before school starts, whenever that is.
And Jim, if I could chime in one other thing, reverse plan, and let me explain what I mean about that. Don't panic and just take guys to take guys. Still get to know guys, whether it's via phone call, whether it's via FaceTime, or whatever device you use to get to know them. Really get to know them. And the reverse plan is, maybe you guys have always operated, our chapters have always operated, taking their larger classes in the fall and smaller classes in the spring. Don't be afraid to take smaller classes in the fall if you don't have the amount of high caliber people that you think you can truly identify, and take your larger classes in the spring as we get past this COVID experience. And that's what we mean about reverse plan. Also, with our P4B program being 5 weeks, under 35 days, don't be afraid to run multiple pledge classes and therefore multiple recruiting periods. The name of Mission 365 is designed for a reason. It's to recruit every single day. And so as you finish the first 5-week module, go out and recruit again in October, November, and again in January, and again in March. It's to continue to be viable on your campuses, to continue to get the best of the best, and to have them come in and be transformational leaders in leading the Greek world.
Well said, Mike. Well said.
And then the only thing I will add is, as we get further into the webinar, we have outlined some more specific ways of who to reach out to during this time, because you're not going to be on campus, whether that be potential legacy members or individuals from your high school, or even individuals that currently go to your university that just aren't Greek. We will provide you some of the strategies we have found on how to reach out to them during this time. So Dale, do you want to go over some of the resources that we currently have available and will have available to the Brotherhood?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you. So one of the first things we have is the PDF handout that has been placed in the GoToWebinar in the handout section. If you're using the app, you can download that, and we can make that available if you don't have it already. On top of that, we do have a Mission 365 workshop that has been designed and created to be delivered virtually for your chapters. And it specifically delves into how to recruit virtually, how to leverage social media, and other avenues there to determine, is this candidate perfect for giving a bid to or not. And one of the things I'll say is you leverage social media in ways that you haven't before. Since you're not able to really walk up and get to know these guys, this can really give you an opportunity to really see what these individuals are all about on the back end. We've all experienced it, especially as you get into your professional career. Somebody will put on their Sunday best to come to a job interview or to get a bid. But if you go look them up on social media, you may find that that's really a truly different person. And so there's opportunities there to get to really find out about the individuals as you make friends with them. Also, reach out to your alumni volunteers. There's a lot of alumni all across the country that know a bunch of people that are graduating. Reach out to your Grand Praetor, your chapter advisors, other alumni that you're close to, and even faculty. I know some of you are still going through classes and doing online and still interacting with some of your professors. Reach out to them to see who they know. Leverage your admissions office. Hey, who's coming? A lot of universities have a lot of brothers in there that can give you a list of names of guys that are coming that may be good choices to try to get to know. There's also the NIC recruitment discussion that Brother Greenberg had mentioned as well. And talk to your Greek advisor on campus. There's not a lot going on for them right now other than some planning, and I'm sure they would more than love for you to reach out and start that conversation and really not only get ideas on how to recruit, but they may be able to give you some people that have reached out and said, hey, my son or my daughter, or hey, I'm coming into the university and I'm interested in Greek life, but I know this whole social distancing thing is going on. They may be able to give you some names to reach out, and what a better start to make an impression on these guys to reach out to them blindly before someone else on your campus has an opportunity to.
Yeah. And one other piece that Dale, that you mentioned is really kind of amping up your social media offerings and social media campaigns. We have the chapter advisor of Florida Atlantic University's Sigma Chi chapter on the call today, Vince Fernald. And Vince, he says that the FAU chapter has collected 137 names from contacting prospective members on Instagram, particularly through the university's FAU Class of 2024 page. And 25 of them have then filed an interest profile for the chapter to contact them. So that is being very proactive and going out and making sure that you're getting the first step on incoming undergraduates that are coming to your university. And like Mike Greenberg said earlier, you're starting that conversation sooner rather than later, and checking off the Jordan standard pieces and getting them to know them on a level that will pay off down the road. So thanks a lot, Vinny, for talking about that strategy with us.
And then, like Dale said, we're going to provide, there's a link on your screen of the NIC resources link to their think tank. we'll go ahead and we'll also put this in the chat feature of this webinar. We are extremely lucky that past Grand Consul is now currently the chairman of the NIC, so we have very easy access to these resources. The entire instructional design team at the Sigma Chi Leadership Institute has been through these resources, and they are great. They are a great indication of what other fraternities are doing. So we highly urge you to click on them, watch the videos, and start to learn a little bit more about what every other fraternity on your campus could be doing right now. That is in the NIC, because any organization that is not currently in the NIC will not be included in those conversations.
So really quick before we hop into, I think Dale's going to walk you through the remote recruitment module. Wanted to take a minute and introduce Worthy Robert Wilson, as it's written. Bob Wilson joins us on the recruitment panel, and the eighth founder, we've called him, of the Sigma Chi fraternity. Was the original recruit of William Lewis Lockwood. But joining us on the call today, one of the original members of the Mission 365 committee, along with Mike Greenberg, countless years, and I can't highlight that enough, on the recruitment faculty at Balfour Leadership Training Workshop and now Kroc Transformational Leaders Workshop, and also a member of our fraternity's executive committee, who really kind of wanted to move forward this mission in charge to get all of our undergraduate chapters ready for whatever recruitment season brings. So Bob, welcome to the call. And just if you have a brief intro message that you would like to send our worthy recruitment chairman on behalf of the EC, the floor is all yours. Oh, I think you're on mute. You're on mute?
He has to press *6 on his phone.
He's on the computer. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can.
He's an excellent recruiter, but not a good at technology.
Wait till you hear him, though. You'll want to rejoin Sigma Chi again.
He is truly a student of fair ability.
Hey, Bob, go to the audio tab on your GoToWebinar dashboard and switch it.
Nothing. All right. Well, in the meantime, as Bob gets set up, Dale, let's take a walk through the remote recruitment module, the digital approach to Mission 365, and we can start with that important resource that is already ready for chapters to request should they need this conversation quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I want to extend a lot of thanks to Kaitlyn and the curriculum design team at SCLI for working almost overnight to turn this around, and it has been greatly appreciated. They've put a lot of work into this, as Jim has spoken about, really trying to figure out what can we do and how can we leverage technology and our virtual recruitment process to make this happen. So this is absolutely a program that your chapters can request. We encourage you to do it. It is tailored to be delivered completely over a webinar or a Zoom or whatever the technology we use. So that being said, really we start out with talking about how to connect to our values and identify what are our values in Sigma Chi and how do we identify someone that connects to that. And just like in the original version in the facilitated in-person version of Mission 365, we're going to talk about what are the strengths and weaknesses of the chapter, as well as the larger general fraternity as a whole, and determine ways we can leverage that to improve our weaknesses, but also leverage our strengths as selling points to convince these guys that Sigma Chi is right for them. Next, we'll talk about what does a potential new member look like that we need? What characteristics do they possess, and how do we line them up with the Jordan standard? You know, part of it is getting to know them and getting to know their values, but how do we do that, and how does that line up? And then looking at what we can do during the year to really start getting to know these guys, building the friendships, getting the relationships built, introducing them to others virtually and once you come onto campus. And you got to think, if they already have that connection with you, once they get onto campus, then it's going to be a lot easier transition for them, because now they're on campus and they know somebody other than that small group of other incoming students that they hit campus with. So there's already a connection to someone. And then we'll go over some of the tools that we have that we can provide for you and your chapters to help plan out your recruiting events throughout the year.
Jill, if I can add, I think all of the undergraduates on the webinar are going to be very excited to hear that this is not your normal 3-hour Mission 365. This module is 90 minutes, which means we are, and as you'll see, a lot of this information we talk about in the Mission 365 core, because it is so important to understand what Mission 365 means in the entire recruiting process. However, we know you're pressed for time. You're doing class. You're still trying to connect with your brothers. We know you don't have the time you might need right now to go through a 3-hour program. We've condensed it down into 90 minutes. It's still the programming that you expect from us. So there's activities and there's ways for you to interact and build brotherhood, which is so important. But you'll really start to see a difference in this Mission 365 as we start to talk about the different ways digitally you can take to recruit, whether that be through prospective legacy members, the different services you might be able to utilize to talk to them, or even the different ways you can utilize social media to publicize your chapter, so you're constantly on the mind of those prospective members.
Hey, really quick before we jump into the next level of strategy, I wanted to pass this over to Mike Greenberg. Ironically, Mike is hopping off this call to get on an NIC call about recruitment. So, Mike, any last tips and strategies and messages that you want to hand off to our brothers before you head off the call?
No, I think we've heard a lot of tips. Vinny's suggestion was great, and I think others' tips are also equally great. It's always, to me, in anything, and in trying to sell a product, right, that provides long-term value to people we recruit in, a lifelong commitment, is be creative and out-hustle. And now more than ever, in these strange times we exist in, I think you got to find that creativity. Think about reverse recruiting. In other words, taking smaller first, bigger second, and all hands on deck, right? Everybody can bring somebody to the table that we can then scrutinize over the Jordan standard and scrutinize what they're willing to do and how also creative they can be in coming in and joining our chapters, some of which will be virtual in the fall. If you have any specific questions, Dale, Bob, when he gets his technology fixed, and Jim and Kaitlyn are great resources, but feel free to also send me an email, and I'll be happy to reach out and get back to you all as well. Apologize, I got to drop off early, but I'll look forward to hearing the results and seeing how well we do in recruiting this fall virtually.
Thank you very much, Mike. Thanks for joining us, and we're lucky to have you on. Hopefully we can get Bob up and running. Still nothing. All right, all right, Dale, back to you, and we're ready to roll.
All right, thank you. So really we want to talk about what is your role. You know, a lot of our chapters still have the mentality that it's the recruitment chairman's role to go out and do the recruitment, and that could not be further from the truth. You know, at the end of the day, it's everyone's role in the chapter to go identify those potential new members and build those relationships and bring them back. And so we want to talk about how how do we do that, and help you understand that that is not just the recruitment chairman. The recruitment chairman is really there to help organize a couple of events, as well as keep the list of names organized and make sure that those individuals get around to meeting everyone. And we really want to talk about what's going to be different. You know, what can we offer them that they need on their campus? You know, it's going to be different. It's going to be strange, right? We don't know, you know, what schools are going to be open. I know here in Tennessee, a lot of the schools are planning to open in the fall as normal. But I heard last night some schools out on the West Coast are probably going to be 100% online still. So we have to figure out what is going to be different in your specific case, and really figure out what we can offer those individuals and why they should give us the time of day.
So I will only add the new class of men that you are going to be recruiting are going to be very different mentally because of the pandemic. Their senior year was stolen from them. They didn't get to do those normal things. They didn't get to go to prom. They didn't have a graduation ceremony, and they're really lacking this connectiveness to others. And that's what they're looking for. We know that digital brotherhood is a thing if you're not going to be on campus. So we really need to be showing these prospective members that, yes, even though we're not together, we're still very close and we still care about each other. And especially if we are on campus, we need to make sure that we are showing our brotherhood straight front out, like in the front, because that is what they're going to be caring about. They no longer care about the rush videos that we're showing them or the alcohol or anything like that. They really do want that connectiveness because of the current situation.
That's a good point, Kate. And there's just going to be, there always is a need for belonging. There's never more of a time that they're an undergraduate cohort or a group that's coming into universities that are going to desperately need belonging than this group. Because like you said, Kate, they're missing that experience, you know, that culminating experience of their high school, their 4 years at high school, and they're going to be looking for that, to go find that when they get on to either digitally or in person on their college campus. So, you know, who better provides that than Sigma Chi? Who better provides that than your chapter? So there are ways, like we had mentioned before, you know, getting onto your school's 2024 Facebook page. Some of them are public. And, you know, as one of our chat participants mentioned, and that's a forum for incoming students where you potentially could see bios and be able, and contact information. So that sense of belonging really can be established digitally, you know, if need be, if you are one of those schools that may be looking at a complete online start to your fall.
One of the other things we're going to talk about in here is social styles, and really identifying what the different social styles are and why those are needed within the chapter, and really help you identify how to recruit those different social styles, and really pick up off of the types of questions that these individuals may ask to identify what kind of social styles they have, and really balance out that chapter. That's real important right now, especially in times of, you know, a lot of the guys in your chapter, to Jim's point, there's a sense of need for belonging, and so we want to make sure we pair people up and have these guys recruit to their social styles.
And particularly with the social style, there, I think this one's important. This is an important conversation to have within Mission 365, because it digitally completely changes the game. It adds another layer of kind of uncomfortability to conversations, because you can't be there, shake their hand, and be present with them, you know, in normal connection form. So it's going to take a little bit more work from the brothers of our chapters to really identify. Most people are quiet on phone calls, and most people are quiet on conference calls, and we know how awkward interruptions happen on Zoom calls. They happen all the time. People are in Zoom burnout at this point, now that we're several months in. So, you know, really identifying style and making sure that you can understand if somebody is expressive or quiet, you know, and really kind of making them comfortable as possible in a digital setting. That's really our jobs now. If we are going to be facing, you know, this this online strategy to go recruit brothers, it's going to be really important that you know, you identify the needs of the person that you're recruiting digitally, and then doing whatever we can to make sure we meet those, whether it's over Zoom or Teams meeting or Google Hangouts or FaceTime, whatever that is, whatever the strategy is that you're going to recruit with. You know, we got to make sure that you know, we are communicating clearly and also hearing or noticing what is not being said on the other end. So, Bob, are you live now?
I'm not certain, Jim. Can you hear that?
Yeah, he's back.
Yay! How about that? So I appreciate the opportunity here, brothers. And as Jim mentioned, yes, I was recruited by Lockwood, and he did help me learn to dress. So that's been a real positive. Mission 365 and recruitment is certainly the lifeblood. We have learned, and science shows us, that the physical connections that we make are really paramount to developing friendship, and thus opening the doors and allowing us to develop into more than that, into more of what we consider our Sigma Chi brotherhood. We have, you know, certain circadian rhythms that people experience, and if we don't experience those, we begin to feel almost a disgust. People can become over judgmental. They can become even to the point of repulsive to one another if they don't continually reach that rhythm and that connection. The quarantine and the isolation that you're feeling can be the equivalent on a health basis to consuming, and forgive me, Dale, I know this is one of your vices, 15 cigarettes a day. So you've got to be really cautious about how you approach your take on other people once you become isolated. And those recruitment chairmen, you know, you need that look in the eye. You need that sense of nonverbal communication. And how do we go about doing that in a digital world? And the team has put together some real decent ideas and some very good best practices that will help you guys go forward and help us go forward as we build into the essentially lifeblood of the fraternity. You know, when we close Mission 365, just as they've closed our pamphlet here, you know, it's in your hands, guys, and yet it's not in your hands. It's in your fingertips. It's in your social connections. It's in your ability to make those connections and to learn what I call recruiting from behind the mask. You know, not only do we have to be able to project ourselves and our character, we have to discern what's behind the mask on the other guy and the potential new member. And sometimes that border and that barrier can be just doggone tough to see through. The social styles is a great way to do that, but you have to be able to know what your social style is before you can even begin to talk to somebody else, let alone talk to them digitally or virtually. So it's a great program. It's a great tool. It will also help you, I think, get through some of these relationship issues that we have because of the isolationism and because of the physical needs that we're being denied. So I applaud what's happened here. I look forward to being able to present some of these ideas to you in a virtual setting as your facilitator. And I will continue to do what I can. Jim, I appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks a lot, Bob. Thanks for joining us. And you know, as we go through here, by all means, you know, Dale, Bob, jump in because you guys have the experiences in the fraternity, been through not a pandemic of this kind, but you certainly recruited across all of your various professional experiences as well. So obviously jump in. We do have I think, a very good question, Dale, Bob, probably, for some of your insights. Michael Nickerson writes that our spring pledge class will be initiated just prior to the start of our university's formal recruitment cycle. How should we best utilize or limit our newly initiated brothers being involved in recruitment efforts, considering that they have only had the experience as a pledgeship and not being a fully active member?
So I'll jump in first. I know Bob's chomping at the bit already. What I would say first off on that is, who better to go out and get your guys who in your chapter? Those guys are probably the most fired up, ready to go, and leverage them now. Have them start talking about the experience that they've lived through, and how your chapter has helped them through this time of separation, and how you stayed in touch with them, and let them tell that story and what they're looking forward to being, and how they want to share that experience with these other guys. So I would go ahead and start leveraging them now, and they're probably the most knowledgeable on your campus. If there's new guys coming in from the university, they're probably knowing the guys in the hometown. Because probably some freshmen that are coming, especially if you have deferred recruitment. Then that would be my suggestion. Bob?
Concur with Dale. The best thing these guys are going to bring to your chapter and to your recruitment process is their enthusiasm and their just pure love of being newly initiated brothers. That is going to just exude from every pore that they've got, and it's going to come out in their discussions. It's going to come out in their recruitment potential and in their recruitment possibilities. They too are going to have those connections, as Dale said. Something that I would also see, they are the most recent brothers to go through the P4B process. They are going to know exactly what it's like, and we're not trying to make good pledges. That's not the point. We're trying to indoctrinate our brothers and encourage our brothers and prepare them for the initiation into our rituals and into our brotherhood. So they are going to know that process the best, and they will be able to speak to that the best to any new recruit that you might have. I mean, he's going to, he's going to be been isolated and watching old movies and seeing the horrors of what the media wants to present as a fraternal brotherhood. And what they can best do for you there is say, no, look, I've just been through this. I've just finished it. This is what you will experience. This is what you will gain, and be able to move forward. Yes, they may not have all the experiences that you have, brother, as a brother, but they are still your brother. And those experiences are on their horizon, and they will be able to project that and build that and actually present that and deliver that to your prospective members.
One thing I would also say, and it doesn't really pertain to your pledges now, but I think it's important to note, this class coming in, is in a very different situation, not only because of what's going on right now, but if you think back 10, 11 years ago, they were living through the recession, and now they're entering in this unknown time after this virus is what's going to happen. So if your chapters have scholarship money, that may be another way to entice these guys and really get them on board, because their parents especially are looking at things different. Some of these parents, their world has been turned upside down, especially depending on the industry that they work in, and so they're going to have a lot of questions specifically about finances. So I also encourage you get with your questers, make sure that the finances are clearly laid out, and if you have any way at all to help these guys through scholarships or anything like that, please advertise that.
Dale, I think that's a really good point. The numbers that ran through April, brothers, said that as of yet, to date, through the end of April, there were 362,000 fewer applications for financial aid. Now that will translate into 362,000 fewer potential students and fewer potential brothers. And we need to be able to offer them every, not necessarily advantage, but every stepping stone that we can offer them, whether it's through your alumni scholarship program, through your school's foundation, through the Sigma Chi Foundation. Any leg up that we can offer to them, particularly men you've been recruiting through the summer and who you already know meet our Jordan Standard membership requirements, be willing to go out on a limb and say, okay, guys, let's work for this one. This is one of the potential new members we don't want to let get away. And from every chaos is opportunity, and that is certainly one opportunity, brother.
Yeah, great insights. All right, Kate, where are we at now in terms of the rollout of our recruitment strategy? I think the last part Dale was talking about. I think the final one after social styles.
Yeah. So one of the things we want to do is help you come up with a plan on how to do this, and actually give action items and takeaways. Who's going to reach out? How do we talk about different things? There's a lot of questions. How do we talk about this great thing that we know is our ritual? And don't worry about making mistakes. If you have a plan in place, and we're going to help you put together, then our hope is that you utilize that and it will go smoothly.
So for our chapters that are participating in summer recruitment, there's new challenges that are going to require us to adapt during this process. So first, we're going to want you to make sure that you're utilizing phone calls and text messages and video calls to have intentional conversations with those prospective members. We're going to want you to focus on the unique differentiators of your chapter. Did your chapter win Chapter of the Year on campus? Did you get a Peterson Award? Did you go above and beyond in terms of community service? Is your chapter president of the year? Those are the things that are going to make your chapter unique and is what is going to stand out to those prospective members. We encourage you to put all of that on social media so those prospective members can start to see how great of a chapter you are. We also want you to focus on the unique differentiators of Sigma Chi, and we'll go into those a little bit later. But the social aspects of fraternity life are common everywhere, and we're looking to demonstrate that there's a higher purpose, and that higher purpose can be shown in our recruitment efforts. Like I said, we want to make sure that you are increasing your social media presence. You should be using your chapter social media accounts to publicize your chapter, the fraternity, and the ways you are participating in digital brotherhood. Because like we said before, the class of men that you are going to be recruiting are really looking for that brotherhood aspect. Plus, we want you to keep in contact with this prospective members if you were in the middle of recruitment when your university extended spring break or they closed campus. Those men you should still be checking in with. You should still be having intentional conversations because those are the men that you can then start to recruit once again. Bob and Jim, Bob, Jim, Dale, do you want to talk a little bit about living the ritual and supporting your current brothers?
Sure. I mean, I can start off with living your ritual, and I think that what Kate touched on before was showing them that higher purpose and living our values and highlighting how we live our values. Again, I think that you have a very cautious group coming in this year as the incoming freshman class, and showing them now more than ever what the value of fraternity and belonging can offer them. And nothing does that better than our Sigma Chi ritual. So obviously, not handing them the black book and say, hey, good luck, but we know what our principles are and we know what we were founded on. And unfortunately, right now, we're going to have to do whatever we can to transfer that feeling, that that foundation of recruitment, as our ritual through a digital setting. But there are ways to do that. There are ways to communicate that higher purpose, and that our chapter is built on values and ideals. And it really is kind of crafting that image online right now, on your social media channels. However you do that, to do so now more than ever, and utilize that foundation of the ritual in doing so. And you know, it's going to take a chapter here, guys. It's going to, you know, as we said before, it's not just the recruitment chairman, and it really is every single member. So you know, everybody, as Bob mentioned before, needs to pitch in and be able to help, be able to recruit over his social media channel. You know, I appreciate again all of the pieces coming in the chat function, the ideas that are coming in. One that Bob touched on earlier is getting those new initiates involved. Florida Atlantic University, we talked about before. Vince Fernald mentioned that they actually put 2 of the pledges on their 2020 recruitment because it does bridge that gap of, hey, I was just here, and now I've been in this experience. I know what I was expecting. I know what I was feeling going through this, and Sigma Chi is worth it, and that certainly helps that chapter recruit a phenomenal pledge class year after year. So thanks for keep those chats, those ideas and strategies coming in the chat. We'd love to highlight them to everybody who is on the call. I got one question, one more question from Bridgewater State. So he says, and this is Brian Kretschmar, our university has an initiation deadline set for each semester. Is this an NIC rule or a university rule? And how can we recruit and initiate 365 if there is a deadline each semester preventing us to recruit and pledge 365? Turn it over to our recruitment experts for some ideas to help out Brian at Theta Zeta.
Hey, Brian, thank you for the question. One thing I would say is, you know, part of recruitment, and the first thing that we will tell you in the Mission 365 program is to start by building the friendship, getting to know someone, and then building that, letting that friendship flourish into a deeper relationship. There's nothing at any university that I have found that says you cannot build friendships and get to know someone. So don't look at it as active recruitment. If Mission 365 is done right while you are still recruiting, you know, it's just as much recruiting by building a friendship with that classmate that you have in 3 of your 5 classes that semester as it is, hey, join my fraternity. It just so happens you're building their friendship, getting to know him, building a stronger relationship, and then we're going to teach you to bring him in, introduce him to Sigma Chi, and introduce Sigma Chi to him. And there's no university that I found that says you can't do that.
Yeah, well, that's a great response. There's a survey out right now from Evite that the average adult American has not made a new friend in 5 years, which is just a crazy, crazy number, and certainly doesn't apply to most college-age brothers and most college-age participants. But the idea that you need to be able to go with a friendship first is the very foundation of what Mission 365 is built on, and certainly you can make those friends year-round. Kaitlyn had asked the question as to just exactly how does that fit into our ritual and how we prepare and promote some of these chapter ideas. Guys, despite the differentiation that you're going to have for your chapter, the Peterson Award or the Outstanding Chapter Award or the Highest Philanthropy Award, somebody down the street, the Betas or the SIGAPs or the Kappas or somebody is going to make that same pitch to that same recruit. So you have to figure out a way to differentiate yourself. And there is one differentiator that they cannot take away from you and that they cannot ever replace. That is our ritual and our values. And if you can live those values and promote those values and demonstrate those values, not only personally, but through your chapter and through your chapter's activities on your campus, they will know you are different. They will know what that differentiator is. They will know for you to be better, you need to recruit and incorporate them. And that will be the key to encouraging them to become a brother and meeting your needs as well as theirs.
Excellent.
Pretty obvious that I'm not a Sigma Chi. But I am on staff at this organization because I believe in you and I believe in every single one of our chapters. So what Dale was saying, if there is a Greek advisor or a university that's telling you you cannot make a friend 365 days a year, I want you to email me and I will talk to them, because they can put a limit on when you can give it a bid. They cannot tell you who you can be friends with. So if you are running into that, please let headquarters know so we can reach out.
All right. So rolling ahead. So the next part comes up as an option for potential or prospective members who already have an affinity to the organization, and this is really knowing, as we had mentioned before, who your incoming freshmen are, and identifying if there's a referral form on sigmachy.org that can be used. We can provide that to anybody, any alumnus who has a son who will be heading to a campus. So there's that route, right? But there's also understanding the Sigma Chi legacy route, and knowing that these conversations can happen again because there's an already established relationship and an established tie to Sigma Chi fraternity. And by all means, there's a stance on legacies within the fraternity that it's not a guaranteed bid, but what it is it's a good in to a conversation about the Jordan Standard, and identifying that, hey, this is a person who very well could already be thinking about Sigma Chi, and it's just that early step on potentially finding new brothers, new members out there before we hit formal or informal recruitment. And like we said before, the legacies already in some way, shape, or form have an affinity to Sigma Chi because their dad went through it or their uncle went through it. And as we mentioned before, other high school football teammates or classmates who have already joined Sigma Chi, dig into those type of relationships and leverage those type of relationships. I joined Sigma Chi, and the person who ended up being my magister, I was a senior at my high school when I was a sophomore. Like, it's just a little tie, a little shout out back to my past that says, hey, if this guy thought that this was that important to really kind of develop it in his college years, it must be something that is valuable. Leverage those relationships, leverage those similarities there, and utilize them when needed. And I think now is probably needed more than ever. Anything from our panel on legacies and any other kind of affinity relationships that we should be thinking about in terms of recruiting the upcoming class?
Jim, if I could, the alumni committee, your membership engagement committee, has actually drafted a full program that can be implemented over the summer for alumni chapters to encourage and help the local chapters with their legacy recruitment, and can be coordinated with your Grand Crater. Now, granted, that was pre-COVID, and that would have to be worked through a little bit to maybe fulfill some of the digital and social distancing requirements. But know that there is a full-fledged, full-out, all-out program designed to help you engage not only the prospective members of the legacy, but those alumni who are now fathers, who are very interested in re-engaging with your chapter if his son becomes a brother in your chapter. So know that there are some also resources from that side of the fraternity more than willing to help you build on that legacy program.
Great, Bob. That'll be a ton of help coming down the road. That's great. That's great, and timely. A very good question coming in from Darius Desnos. And Darius asks, when trying to create a friendship with people over the summer for potential brothers, if we find that they do not meet the Jordan standard, what should we do? Do we cut off all ties? Because the main reason we are talking to them is for the purpose of recruitment. What do you all think about a scenario like that?
So absolutely, you want to keep that friendship and keep that relationship there. I think the worst thing you can do is cut off all ties, because they're going to see right through that. I think the other thing is you don't know who they know. As you're getting to know them, you may decide that it's not for them, but they may have a friend that this is for, or they may decide that it's not for them, and that's okay. We still need to be friends and get along. At the end of the day, still maintain that relationship, still maintain that friendship. People do change. So I would not by any means abandon them.
I would add, Dale, just because somebody isn't right for Sigma Chi right now doesn't necessarily mean they won't be right for Sigma Chi in the future. So it's definitely not a relationship that you want to cut off, because just because they don't meet one specific point of the Jordan standard right now doesn't mean that something could happen in their collegiate career where next year that means they wouldn't make a great member.
Thank you. All right, moving on down the road here, we have our differentiators, and this is, these are our pride points, right? Why we should join Sigma Chi, versus joining one of the other fraternities. Kaitlyn, what are your thoughts in terms of, what makes us unique? What do we leverage in conversations? And this opens up to Dale and Bob. I mean, if we're recruiting anyone across the board today, how do we differentiate ourselves, and how do we kind of, like we said, provide that higher purpose for potential new members to really kind of grasp onto in a digital setting?
Of course, I'll say one thing, and then I am so happy to turn over to both Bob and Dale about our differentiators. I think the most unique aspect of the organization that is different than every other Greek organization across the board is this idea of the Sigma Chi Leadership Institute. The Leadership Institute is looking towards getting state licensure and being accredited, so each and every single programming that we offer you can then go back to your university to be turned into collegiate credit, so you can get that credit to graduate. That is something that no other Greek organization is doing, and is something that we should be putting out there, because that can entice the type of members that we want in this organization.
And I would agree with that. One of the things that I hear when I go to a lot of the different chapters and ask them what stands Sigma Chi apart, and one of the things every chapter automatically, it's almost like a canned response, is, well, we have a brotherhood. Well, every organization is going to say they have a brotherhood. So what we really want to do here is highlight what makes Sigma Chi different. To Kate's point, the SCLI with the accreditation, no other organization is offering that or doing that. One of the other things is our P4B program. That is something that we started, one, to really get our hands wrapped around the eradication of hazing. And so if guys are worried about what the news media paints Greek organizations in a negative light through their pledge program, well, you can talk about the P4B program and how it's very prescribed, and it gives you the information that you need to be a Sigma Chi. And we cut out all of the hazing, and really that hazing is not tolerated. And so you can talk about how we have an award-winning program on that with the foundation and the foundation scholarships, and how that is the largest endowment of scholarships from a Greek organization in the Greek communities. The philanthropy with HCI, and we have our name on an entire floor in a hospital. Because of the philanthropy that you guys have helped create. So leverage that, leverage the things that your chapter has that makes you different and makes you stand out. And one of the things that we'll talk about, if we're on your chapter to do the program, would really be also the difference between the differentiators and the things that are just kind of benefits, like, hey, we have a nice house, or we have a large house. Well, that's great, but another chapter on another campus has a bigger house and a nicer house. So we want to really show what is truly different deep down.
I think too, Dale, that the aims of the fraternity and friendship, justice, and learning. These slides that Kaitlyn's got up and these points that you guys have mentioned certainly are differentiators, and they are certainly individualistic to our fraternity. But if you look at them as pieces, what do they become? They become friendship, they become justice, they become learning. And those in turn lead to our values and lead to what truly differentiates your chapter and our fraternity. And that is the men inside it, the way the men feel, the actions of the men, and how they impact our world. And that is what's going to differentiate you, differentiate us. All these items can be pointed to as very specific programs and very specific ideas that help us to enhance those 3 great aims and help us to enhance those values, but it's, or at least prove those values. But ultimately, it's those values that are what our differentiators are.
Thanks. So at this point, that is from us, that is all we have prepared, but we want to make sure that we have left a little bit of time open for questions. So Jim and I will be going through and we will be looking at the questions, and we urge you to ask anything that you can, anything you're having trouble with, and then one of the panel members will be able to answer those for you.
And I would also add again, this was just a very high-level overview of what's in the actual presentation and workshop. The actual Mission 365 workshop that we have that the SCLI has prepared with us is really designed to dig into some of these high-level topics that we've showed you. We were very, very careful to make sure that it was no more than an hour and a half in length. Our undergrads on our committee were very clear in that as well. And we also have, to Kate's point earlier, we have some experiential activities built in for you to go into different breakouts virtually and have conversations, and then come back to the larger groups as well. So I wanted to make sure that you knew that as well.
And that program, brothers, it does give you the tools. You get to talk about the art of conversation, whether it's digital or whether it does eventually come from behind the mask and we can do it face to face. It lets you talk about what purposeful questions are, what those conversations that Kaitlyn talked about earlier, those carefully crafted and vital conversations that we need to have. It gives you the tools to actually think about how to drill down from a very surface answer and a very surface question to what is the character and what is behind the answer to that question. In addition, you can talk about, no, we can't do a around the room, hello, my name is, but you have that discussion of, hey, there's this guy we know, and how do we incorporate him, and how do we get him interested, and where do we find our recruits? And brothers, these seminars and these questions are for the entire chapter. I know recruitment chairmen bear the brunt of what the chapter thinks recruiting is, but as the panelist said earlier, everybody makes friends, and those friends become important to us. And as those friends become important to us and we share hours and community together, that time eventually develops the bonds that we believe will be brotherhood. And if that brotherhood is based on our values, then brothers, you have recruited a Sigma Chi, and our lifeline and our brotherhood continues.
So a couple of go forward action items out of here for anybody who does need help. One question from a fellow recruitment faculty member, Joe Porter, down at Oklahoma State, asked if they're about ready to fire up summer recruitment here in June, and asked if these materials will be ready for them ASAP. Obviously, there's a quick turnaround there for the Cowboys down at Oklahoma State. And that answer is absolutely. Not only the digital recruitment brochure, but also this 90-minute remote recruitment module. You even have Bob Wilson, who has offered to facilitate it as well. So absolutely, Gamma Delta, we can get you help there immediately. And that goes for everybody on this call. These are ready at your fingertips, as Kaitlyn mentioned earlier. The normal request process that you can do through the chapter system, just go in, select or request a Mission 365 core module, and then we will, our operations team in SCLI will line up a facilitator and get that scheduled at your earliest convenience. There's not a lot of logistics, at least on our side, to get these done. In terms of it's not necessarily in person or face to face. So if you need something with some urgent notice on it, we absolutely can accommodate that. There was another question: if Sigma Chi fraternity headquarters can offer content resources for chapters needing some social media help, and that answer is yes. I'm on immediate text with Justin Hannon, who is in our marketing communications department. We have a public Flickr page that you can download photos for if you need photo content. But we absolutely, if there's other specialized content that you're looking for, we'll go ahead and post Justin Hannon's email, and we can help out. Our marketing communication has video assets, and we have Mission 365 flyers. Whatever you feel you need in terms of tools, we will do everything we can to help produce those for you and get you ready to go here in the summer and the fall. So I think that covers questions. Oh, no, will this webinar and associated online training documents be available for recruitment chairs who couldn't join so that they can access? That answer is yes. And this webinar is being recorded, and that will be sent out to all operators, chapter advisors, and recruitment chairmen to access post-webinar. So certainly we can provide that. So now, good to see there are a couple more questions coming in, and perfect timing. So I will offer some of these up. And we can offer these up to Bob, Dale, and Kate. But first one comes from Tyler Van Kuren. He says, do we have resources that we can start getting out to the public that we can throw up on our Instagrams? I addressed that. Yes, we do. We can provide that support via content, photos, videos. What if a school suspends fraternities from giving bids in the fall to attempt to reduce social distancing? That's a very good question and timely given the pandemic. And Dale, Bob, Kate, how would we handle a situation like that from the fraternity perspective?
Bob, do you?
Go ahead, Kate.
I was going to ask Bob, do you have any guidance from that from the EC perspective?
The executive committee is certainly cognizant of what school shutdowns look like and what that's going to do to our recruitment process. There's some discussion that some campuses are even considering only allowing first-year students to go to campus. There's a lot of ifs, ands, or whats flying all around. My personal statement would be that you still go ahead and make those friendships, and certainly if they don't allow bids in the first quarter or the first semester, and they're telling you that we're going to have a deferred recruitment, well, believe me, headquarters and your EC will be talking with that university to see if we can nudge them back the other direction and remind them of the constitutional rights that every student and every person in the country and Canada have to associate with those who they wish to associate with. So that's a legalistic answer. The more realistic answer is you develop those friendships, you develop that contact, you maintain those contacts, and then you initiate them. You run your P4B for the month of January, and you start your initiation class the very first day of February.
And the good news on that in that situation there is you're not the only one on your campus that can't give out a bid. So every other organization is going to be in that same situation. So it's not like they're singling Sigma Chi out to give a bid.
And you may have to be able to get some support and some pushback from a strong IFC on your campus as well.
We have another question. Can headquarters provide information about the fraternity as size and opportunity? So quick facts. We do have a handout that we normally give out in Mission 365 with all of this. We will work with your RCSCs to get this out to every single recruitment chairman, so you as a chapter can have this information available to you as well.
I would throw into that as well, Kaitlyn, that the chapters should be able to go to their alumni chapters and their alumni brethren, and particularly brothers that are connected to the chapter still in that geographical location, and lean on some of those alumni brothers as well for support as to, you know, what the international fraternity looks like, what happens after graduation, any social distancing or any social media prospects that the alumni might have for promoting Sigma Chi and for promoting the chapter as well. There are many alumni brothers out there who, you know, are engaged with facilitation and KTLW and et cetera, but there are just as many in the business world that are looking for that opportunity to step up and promote their actions with their local chapters. So don't be afraid to reach out to those alumni presidents and those alumni personnel to see if there's somebody locally that can help you in that aspect as well.
One of the other questions that comes up, and again, it's different for where Bob is in Colorado to where Dale is in Tennessee, but Kaitlyn Wilkins asks, will we be able to still have Mission 365 workshops this upcoming fall? I assume he's referring to in-person workshops. Obviously, you know, we'll have this digital module available, but you know, Bob and Dale, I'm assuming from an executive committee perspective, that's really determined by the state and the restrictions placed on numbers of local gatherings and what that looks like. But you know, what are your thoughts to you know, this fall, campus by campus? What will that? What do we anticipate that looking like? You know, across North America.
So from the committee, from the Mission 365 committee standpoint, if the state and the university allows it, and we have a facilitator that's available, then absolutely we would love to get into your chapters and do an in-person workshop. To Jim's point, a lot of that is going to be determined state by state. I know here in Tennessee, things are kind of opening up slowly. Universities, as of 2 weeks ago, are saying they're going to open full force in the fall. Other schools are saying, as of last night, I've heard of some schools and other states saying that they're going to be 100% virtual. So it's really going to be on a case-by-case basis from the Mission 365 committee. Bob, what about from the EC standpoint?
From our standpoint, Dale, it is the same argument that hey, we have to follow the guidelines they're given us to by the state and the locals and the campuses. So that will certainly come into play. The travel, you know, to actually parachute somebody in, if Vinny down there in South Florida wanted me to come down, that would be a little more difficult because of our financial restrictions and because of our travel restrictions. But, you know, by the same token, if Colorado is opened up and my friend Kiwi down here at DU says, hey, let's run it at DU, they're not going to keep me away.
Awesome, thank you. Johnny Avedrabo asks if HQ can help with website development for chapters. What I do know is that we can provide vendors assistance and guidance on where to go for website development help. And so, you know, again, I would reach out to, we'll put it on there, justin.hannon@sigmachi.org. and our marketing team can help provide guidance on where and really kind of what the process looks like for website development.
Jim, if you don't mind, I know we're approaching our hour and a half, and likewise, I've got another commitment creeping up here. I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. I want to say good luck to my recruitment brothers out there, and recruitment chairman, and really every brother on the call to go forward and make sure that the Sigma Chi legacy that we leave in these uncertain and certainly historic times is one that we will all be proud of. And the best way to do that, brothers, is to find those men of value and make sure that they know that Sigma Chi is there for them and bring them into our fold. So well done, Kaitlyn, Dale, SCLI team. Really appreciate what this recruitment package looks like. And I know the men on our campuses are going to once they dive into it as well. Brothers, it's been an honor, and I appreciate your time tonight.
And I would echo exactly what Bob said as well. Again, Kate, thank you. Jim, thanks for allowing your staff to turn this over for the committee seemingly overnight. Phenomenal job. Brothers that are on the call, thank you so much for your interest and your dedication in helping to preserve and continue our brotherhood in these times. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to reach out to me as well. Be more than happy to hop on a phone call or a Zoom or email back and forth as well. Again, thank you for your time on this afternoon.
Also, a wonderful happy birthday to Dale Thomas. He's turning 30 years old today. So, big congratulations to him. Dale, Bob, Mike Greenberg, who was on earlier. These are guys who, give everything outside of their professional lives to Sigma Chi, and not only leading our committees, but also leading all of our other initiatives that happen outside of education. So very appreciative for that. Kate, any final messages to our recruitment chairman and our chapters?
All I would say is this is what I get paid to do. I get paid to help and support you in everything that you need. So if you have questions we couldn't get to that you need answered, if you have questions or concerns about what's going on in your campus and need support, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. If I can't answer your question, I know a lot of alumni brothers who can answer your question, and I am more than happy to be that middleman to get you that answer.
Thanks, Kate. Brothers, we're going to make sure that we're respectful of your time. We wish you the best of luck. We're always here to serve with you. sigmachi.org/SCLI. We have contact form on there if you need to send us questions or requests. We'll be very responsive with any of those that come our way. And as Kate mentioned, we do this for you and to support you and to serve you and make sure that you guys continue to bring Sigma Chi forward as the best, as the differentiator on campus. And thank you for your time today, and I hope everyone has a very safe and great rest of your week. Thank you and good night.